Last week I covered the story of Arturo Sanchez being accused of late payment as well as skimming money from tournaments that he ran on Matcherino. Well, I've finally been able to speak to both Matcherino and Arturo, and I think I have the answers. If you guys see this video and you enjoy it, why not drop us a like, maybe subscribe to the channel. We like doing stories like this, and we hope that you like that too. Cheers. At the end of the last video, Matcherino said that they wanted to speak with me after they addressed the situation in a live stream. That live stream fell through though, and they agreed to speak to me directly, so I ended up interviewing Matcherino's head of product, Brian Cortade, and you may recognize him from a certain online card game. Firstly, they told me that Matcherino is not banning Arturo from participating in events that have a Matcherino page as a player. He simply cannot organize on the platform going forward.
Yeah, on our side, moving forward, I think we've been clear that, Arturo will not be organizing events on Matcherino anytime in the future. For our tournament organizers that we work with, they can work with him or have them in their tournaments. We're not trying to dictate anything that they're doing. It's just that on our side, since he broke TOS and has been banned, he will not be allowed to use the platform for organizing events.
There is a way for TOs to pay out a player without a Matcherino account via email when the event is finalized. And furthermore, they told me that they're looking into creating account types that would allow player-only permissions, but not organizer permissions. That doesn't currently exist though. Matcherino also confirmed to me later that if Arturo wants to stream a tournament that has a Matcherino page, well, that's between him and the TO. They're not asking for him to be banned from activities like that either. Secondly, based on the receipts I've seen of text messages as well as a timeline that was provided to me, it was the people who use Matcherino who came to the company saying, listen, something has to happen here. And paying people is one of the core things that Matcherino does. And from the receipts, they tried to find a way to help Arturo pay the money back immediately, knowing that once the money was repaid, this issue would be done. For his part, Art said that he was in the hospital with his dad during this stretch, but then as soon as the statement went out, he paid nearly immediately. Thirdly, as Arturo claimed, Matcherino did commit to making an announcement after everything was paid off. But this statement was contingent on Art taking responsibility for his actions, and ultimately, once other accusations started to fly, they didn't feel comfortable saying that he had paid back everything because, well, they didn't know that for sure. Plus, more events were immediately discovered that same day, though to Art's credit, he was able to pay for those amounts again on December 30th. Matcherino did confirm to me, however, that Arturo has paid them back for the amounts that they paid out to the players, and as of this moment, barring any new information that we're currently not aware of, those events are paid up. Art is paid up with Matcherino. Actually, it turns out that he sent them like $400 too much, apparently. Lastly, Matcherino told me that the delay in addressing this situation was twofold.
We had plans to go on a different community podcast that did not pan out. We also wanted to be as thorough as possible on our side. There's a lot of parties involved, and as everyone knows, there's a lot of events that have been organized by Art, and we just wanted to, dot our I's and cross our T's before making a statement.
I criticized their initial statement for being vague, which it is, but in Matcherino's view, it was Arturo's statement that would clarify exactly what had happened. He would be the one talking about the late payment.
Make a statement, but at the same time, also let Arturo handle it himself how he wanted to with the community, since we know that, he's a big part of the community and that he's been in it a long time.
Again, I don't think his initial tweet explains what happened very well, so I do have some sympathy for this view. Let's go through what did happen based on Matcherino's receipts. The receipts do paint a pretty bleak picture of payments. from June 21st, 2022 to September 27th, 2022, lots of tournaments that Art was organizing on Matcherino went unpaid. This included 17 can opener series pages, as well as some pages for big games at tournaments like Defend the North. All told, the initial estimation was that Art was on the hook for about $6,300 in tournament winnings. Receipts of Discord messages previously made public from before December 12th show players reaching out to Art to get him to pay, but he didn't actually do that at the time. In at least one of these cases, can opener number 64, all 3 players were listed as participants in the event, so they could have been paid out directly to their Matcherino wallets. Art claims that he paid out to himself because he needed to verify the winners before paying out. Matcherino also made it clear to me that they have very high site uptime. They claim 99.95% over the past year, and that the claims from Art and others at Matcherino makes it hard to pay out aren't true.
Arturo's initial response to the situation surprised us because there was a lot of things that he expressed, like difficulty of making payments and things such as this that we had never heard before and that he had not relayed to us.
This situation doesn't get to Matcherino until December 12th, when a tournament organizer notes that several of their events had not been paid out. At this point, it was several months that these payments had been late. The very next day, Matcherino CEO Grant Farwell calls Arturo, and according to them, he says that he will pay the money back. He also noted that some of the Defend the North events had already been paid by him before that conversation. In the meantime, Matcherino was starting to hear that other sources were aware that these tournaments hadn't been paid out. On December 18th, 5 days after Art initially said he'd pay the players, Grant and Art text again. Grant says he hopes to, quote, not have this be a major blow up, end quote. Art was aware based on these texts that Matcherino felt like they needed to make a statement if they couldn't get the money where it needed to be soon. They exchanged a bunch of texts between the 19th and the 22nd, and neither side disputes these, so I'm not gonna go point by point really. The timelines match up on both sides, but on the 23rd, a legal notice is emailed to Arturo. He claims that it was sent to the wrong email. Matcherino contests that, and they say that they told Art that the notice was coming, and they told him when and where to expect it. Ultimately though, based on text messages, he did know that legal action was a possibility and that it would need to start soon if they couldn't get this thing sorted. Matcherino also paid out the remaining events themselves on the 23rd, and you can see some shell pages for those payouts here. On December 29th, Matcherino says Arturo sent them $300 on PayPal without letting them know or saying anything. Art says it was a payment in good faith and that it happened actually on the 30th. Might be time zone shenanigans. Not really that important, to be honest. The next day, we got the Matcherino tweet and Art's response. Grant and Art talk on the phone. Art sends $6,300 to Matcherino on PayPal 40 minutes after the initial statement. More events are identified as unpaid that day, and so after that initial $6,300 payment, Arturo transfers a total of another $2,500 to Matcherino in various PayPal transactions. And from the first video, you know the rest of the story, and Matcherino hasn't made a statement about this situation until they spoke with me for this video. So why did I go over late payments? Well, for one thing, the issues of paying out to self, which has been very much focused on by the community, and also the accusation of skimming payments, aren't things that Matcherino is planning to pursue at this time. For one thing, the payout to self is something that Matcherino was already aware of. They knew that Arturo had this ability, and in fact his account was flagged so that if he did it, it wasn't going to just show up in the system as a huge problem. So that isn't the breach of the terms of service. We can just move on past the point of paying out to self. Now, in terms of taking a cut, it seems like it mostly happened off the website using PayPal. Although Matcherino still contests, and I agree, that this should be done transparently through the site where everyone can see it, if a tournament organizer says that they and Art are square, and the players also agree with that assessment, there's not really anything Matcherino can do. That kind of leaves the issue of late payment as the only thing to talk about, and I think we should talk about it. The reason I think we should is because, well, Art did really fuck up here. And Matcherino, for their part, tried to find a solution where this didn't go public, and I think the community deserves to know about that. Art said he was in the hospital with his dad, who was really sick, and that's a really terrible situation that no one should have to go through. But let's be honest, not paying for months beforehand is the mishandling of funds in the statement. And I don't think calling it a massive misunderstanding is very accurate based on the attempts from Matcherino to get him to pay or to admit that he couldn't, so they could.
So on our side, we were hoping that he would not only admit to the late payments, but also admit to taking the money into his own PayPal account and no longer having it to pay the players.
Arturo understood that he needed to pay and that legal would be involved if he didn't. But he didn't pay, not until they made that statement, and then he paid almost immediately. The company tried to do right by their stakeholders and Arturo by handling this responsibly, but at a certain point, enough is enough.
We're a financial platform. Transparency and truth in our system is most important. We're going to investigate this. We actually released art 2 weeks prior to the announcement. So regardless of the pressure from the TOs, maybe to make a statement, you could say, right? Or something like this. But in terms of just like handling the situation, irregardless of the TOs, if we have a report of misconduct, we're going to investigate that, period. Like, there's no other way about it.
So why the hell did everything else happen? Again, Matcherino said that they needed Art to make a statement that would clarify what had happened and accept responsibility for the things he had done wrong, notably the late payment. And I see their point that once they saw these other accusations come in, it wasn't possible to just say, yeah, he paid everything back. They needed to check that. But again, today they're confirming that, as far as they can tell today, the events that were late are all paid out. Some of them were paid by Arturo himself. Many more were paid by Matcherino on the 23rd when they set up these shells to pay out outstanding events. And then, like I said, on December 30th, Arturo transferred money from his PayPal to Matcherino to pay for the outstanding amounts. There was a lot more I wanted to say about Matcherino in this report because this entire situation has led people to make some pretty bold claims about the company, and I had to ask them about it. But 2 takeaways for me after speaking with them is, firstly, they don't sell their users' data, and secondly, the claim that they're insolvent, they also deny. I also don't think it's possible to look at these receipts and claim that Matcherino was acting maliciously. One other thing that people pointed to was that Arturo's Matcherino account, one of them at least, appeared to be banned mid-stream when he was doing his initial ill-fated response stream. Matcherino told me this was an unfortunate mistake.
So he has 2 accounts. So that account was banned by somebody who wasn't watching, actually, in the middle of the stream, unfortunately. But if he had managed to go to his wallet, I don't know exactly what he was trying to show people. He actually pulls up the account prior in the video and realizes, like, he's about to do something, and he realizes, like, holy fuck, if I go to when you go to your profile, you have to go to the top right, and then you have to click profile. But when you do that, if you have a balance, it tells you the balance of your account right there.
That's another thing I've glossed over too. In that stream that I mentioned, Arturo said that the money was in the Matcherino, but I've been able to confirm that, first of all, those payments that he made on December 30th were made from PayPal. And secondly, while there may have been a small balance in an account, it certainly was nowhere near those amounts that were sent on December 30th. Where does this leave Arturo though? Well, Matcherino confirmed to me again that if he wants to enter a tournament that has a Matcherino page as a player, they're not stopping him from doing that. Obviously, tournament organizers allow players to play in their events at their own discretion. And if he does want to do that and a tournament organizer is okay with it, there is an option to pay him out via email in the system. That's what they'll have to use for now because he doesn't have an account. And if a tournament organizer wants him to stream a tournament that has a Matcherino, they're okay with him doing that as well. Side note, this is a classy move from Matcherino, and it really is not the behavior of a company that's trying to destroy someone. Secondly, Arturo remains banned from East Coast Throwdown at the time of this video, as well as some other events. I'm not going to go over all of them, but here's the thing. A tournament organizer could probably ban whoever they want for whatever reason they want, as long as it's not a discriminatory one or something. But what I'm trying to say is this. If tournament organizers banned him because the perception is that he stole money, well, the money is finally where it needs to be, according to both Arturo and Matcherino, based on available information now. It took a long time, and it really shouldn't have, but it is there now. ball is in their court, basically. But it seems like both sides want to move on from this because, well, that's what both sides wanted initially. They just couldn't make it happen in a reasonable time frame in private. Then when it made public, additional accusations from elsewhere in the FGC, like the paying out to self or skimming accusations, made the thing take substantially longer and get a lot weirder. Now that the money is where it needs to be and we've got the receipts, we can make our own decisions about what happened. Let's just make sure that they're informed decisions.
On our side, we really wanted to clear up a lot of the confusion in public because it's causing not only our company strife, people at our company have been receiving threats, but also between our partners, there's a lot of, talking and fighting over this type of thing. And since we have the information, we just want to make it public so that, we could be fully transparent. And additionally, moving forward, we're looking to make some improvements as well that would make it more obvious not only where your money is going when you donated it, including the prize pool breakdown that's already on the event in the contribution modal, but additionally making some changes so that if someone who is staff gets paid out, they're clearly labeled. But mostly, Matcherino's just looking to clear up a lot of the public claims that we don't think are accurate.
Thank you, theScore Esports, for covering my side of the story. Thank you to everybody that supported me, even though it looked bad for me. I hope we can have closure on all this, and I hope people can see both sides of the story and understand the facts from an objective viewpoint. I want to say I'm sorry to the FGC once again, and I hope they realize that I've made incredible sacrifices for the scene for the last 25 years. And, I love this community, and I hope they'll give me a chance to move on.
Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.